You know that feeling, right? That deafening silence in an elevator? Or that super awkward pause on a first date? But then there's the other side of it, that incredible moment when a simple chat just clicks and it turns into a real connection. Every single conversation we have is somewhere on that spectrum. So the big question is, how do we get from one end to the other?
Now, that's really the central question here. I mean, when does just talking become meaningful instead of just, noise? What is it that transforms those simple words, that back and forth about the weather or what we did over the weekend, into something that actually matters? What's the hidden architecture behind a conversation that truly connects us?
Well, the answer actually starts at the very beginning. It starts with the most basic level of human interaction, which is really just that simple effort to fill an uncomfortable void. It all begins with what most of us would probably just dismiss as noise. And there's a perfect word for this: schmooze. It's that light, kind of floaty conversation we use to test the waters and, break the ice. It's really our go-to tool for filling that awkward silence, and in doing so, it creates this little space where a real conversation might actually have a chance to grow. Now, I know what you're thinking. We tend to see small talk as the enemy of a deep connection, right? But this idea completely reframes that. Noise, or schmoozing, isn't the opposite of meaning. It's actually the essential foundation that makes meaning possible in the first place. Yeah, think of it this way. Noise is rock bottom. And I know rock bottom sounds bad, but in this case, it's actually a really good thing. It's the safe, shared ground floor where we can both stand before we decide if we want to build something taller. It gives us the freedom to just move around the conversation without any pressure. Okay, so we've laid our foundation of noise. But now what? How do we actually build on it? How do we get the conversation to go somewhere instead of just fizzling out? Well, this is where we need to start building some momentum. And it turns out, two things are absolutely key here: trust and rhythm. You gotta have both. Think of them like twin engines that propel the conversation forward, lifting it up from that rock bottom of noise and turning it into an actual dialogue. And this brings us to a really critical moment in any interaction, like a fork in the road. If you've got that trust and rhythm, the conversation gains momentum and moves forward. But if they're not there, well, that light, noisy foundation serves another really important purpose. It gives both people a polite, easy way to exit. No harm, no foul. Let's talk about that idea of rhythm for a second, because it's so crucial. It's way more than just taking turns talking. It's about recognizing and matching each other's energy. Like, are we both in a silly mood right now? Are we both feeling a bit more serious? When we can adjust our own pacing to keep the other person interested, that's when our ideas really start to intertwine and weave together. And honestly, this is why even just being silly is so vital. It's not just meaningless chatter. Sometimes it's like a patch we use to keep the momentum going if there's a rough spot. Other times, it's just exactly what we need when the day has been way too heavy. But maybe most importantly, it's a powerful tool for recognizing and syncing up with each other's rhythm. All right, so we've laid our foundation with noise. We've built momentum using trust and rhythm. So where does all this effort actually lead? What are the ultimate destinations of a truly great conversation? So where can this whole conversational journey take us? Well, it turns out there are two really profound and kind of beautiful destinations. Here it is. Every conversation is a small door. Some open into rooms, others into mirrors. Wow, just let that sink in for a second. It's such a powerful metaphor for what happens when we really, truly connect with someone through a conversation. Okay, let's break that down, because it's brilliant. Some conversations are rooms, right? They open a door and suddenly we're connecting with new people, new perspectives, new ideas. But then other conversations are mirrors. Through the simple act of talking and feeling heard, they reflect our own selves back to us, and they help us understand who we are just a little bit more clearly. So let's bring this all together. What we've really been exploring here is the hidden architecture of meaning. We've seen how a foundation of simple noise, when it's powered by those twin engines of trust and rhythm, can lead us to these absolutely incredible destinations, these rooms and mirrors. And what this all reminds us of, ultimately, is that no conversation is ever just a waste of time. Even the most casual chat, the simplest little bit of schmoozing, holds this incredible potential to fundamentally change what you see and where you go next. So the next time you find yourself starting a chat, maybe ask yourself this: what am I hoping to find here? Am I looking for an open door into a new room? Or am I hoping for a clear reflection in a mirror? The architecture is there. It's just waiting for you to build.